called it week
You
one.
guys.
Yeah, and this is with Velociraptor saying it was embarrassing that we had JP that high. So I'm really curious where he's got him right now.
I think you're wrong, but it's okay. You're allowed to be wrong.
Not embarrassing though. That's good. We've ranked up.
That might be a little imbalanced. I'll just say that.
But I thought it was
And
just an
also-
EXTP. I thought it was just an EXTP, dude.
Dog, I'm agreeing with you right now.
I know. I just wanted to throw it in there
Steven's
because
I take it
don't
back.
agree with me.
I've seen that. So I'm sorry. I wanted to throw it in there because it was becoming a
Buff
meme
OD
online
counter.
as well.
It
Yeah.
needs 3 orbs that never go
Yeah.
away for the rest of the round. Let's talk about tier lists, and we'll start with the hottest new Shadaloo accountant on the Twitters right now, JP. He won a tournament. He did pretty well at Evo. As one JP that did this, but yeah, people are complaining. They are whining. Twitter has the pitchforks out for JP. He needs to be nerfed. You guys, we did this tier list on week 1, and you both had JP way up there. I think you both had him in 2nd place overall. I'll start with you guys. What do you think, Steven? Where do you feel like JP is now? What do you want to talk about with him? Is he a big, mean bully that's just breaking the game and has too many abilities? What's going on with JP?
Oh, so JP is a very interesting character. This guy, from even before launch, I was like, just based on the tools that character has, I was like, I believe he's going to be very similar to a Minot in Street Fighter V. I think over time this character is going to get stronger because I think he's going to be highly technical. I think you're going to see some pros really develop his gameplay and figure out these strategies and stuff that just make him stronger over time. The interesting thing about him was with characters like that, generally the barrier of entry is pretty high. With JP, you can kind of jump in there and start doing some great stuff pretty easily. There's definitely some higher levels to it though, as we're seeing with players like Kakeru and stuff like that. I think this character is really good. I've thought he was really good since the beginning. Ironically, I'm complaining about him less because I'm really learning how to fight that character more.
Let me quote a real quick text message that I got yesterday in the official EventHubs text message thread. JP players are a expletive joke to me online now. Laughy face. Feels like I'm smoking Master JPs on the reg now. Just wanted to throw that out there.
That's from
Steven Chavez, 2023.
I am, which is nice.
Lily player, 2023.
I'm a Lily player, and I'm going to stay a Lily player until Dudley drops. But I am definitely beating JP players a lot more. I'm learning some of the things that you need to do against this character. And for me, once I really deep dive a matchup, I get really, really good at that stuff. It's usually a handful of matchups, usually the characters that my friends play and stuff, my training partners. But I have 2 really talented players that are my peers that we train a lot, and they both happen to play JP. So I'm really learning how to fight this character, but I still think he's really damn good. I think his showing at EVO was really strong. Obviously, Gamers 8, super strong showing there. I have this character right now at number 2. I think he's really damn good. I think he's going to get stronger. I'm curious to see what nerfs Capcom does to him by the end of the year or whenever the patch comes after Capcom Cup. I feel like he's definitely getting nerfed because people are very, very vocal about him right now. I don't know what they're going to do to him, but I think he's probably number 2 in the game right now, especially after these last 2 weekends. He just has options for everything.
What should they do to him if he needs nerfs? What would where is it that he would need to be changed?
For me, I still think that OD counter is a little bit too ridiculous. I think you should probably have him lose the orbs if he gets hit after he does it. I think that's pretty fair. It's so weird to have something like that where he does OD counter, you trigger it, and then he still has the orbs even if you're hitting him. The best way to get through that stuff is usually to throw him or command throw or whatever, something that leaves you invincible for during the animation. But that seems a little bit too strong to me just in general. It's too oppressive. It's all right, you already have a counter that's stopping basically everything other than projectiles. If you're fighting against a character who doesn't have projectiles, they're pretty much screwed. And then on top of that, once those orbs are in play, you have to worry about them. If they nerfed OD counter and made it so that the orbs go away, would that fix the character, or would there still be stuff that's wrong with I'm
him?
sure there's other stuff that needs to get nerfed, 100%. But that's probably the most glaring thing. At least I think that's probably where I'd start. And based on kind of what people were saying over the weekend, I think that's probably where they might start looking, because again, it's when you have a character that's so dominant with his zoning, who's meant to be a full screen zoner, and then has an option like that, it's like, it just seems like too much, at least to me. Again, I'm learning how to fight that stuff more. I'm really understanding the nuances of that matchup more. It's still a difficult matchup for me, but it's getting more manageable at least. But still, I just think when you look at that stuff top to bottom with everything he can do, OD counter still feels like it's a bit too strong. And again, I think that's a fair way of kind of keeping the essence of the move, but also making it not
Do
as
you
aggressive.
feel like Guile should lose invincibility on his flash kick?
No, I don't think he should lose invincibility on his flash kick, but he's not a full screen zoner in the way that JP does it. And also, every time JP touches you, he puts you in that position to be full screen
I have to
zone.
correct that. Guile is very much a full screen zone.
I was gonna say,
there's no way he's not. Yeah.
He is, but not in the same oppressive
And
way that
OD
JP
flash
is.
kick, I will remind you, beats throws.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Yeah, OD flash kick is one singular attack that does how much damage? What, like 300 damage, 400 damage? What does it do, right? Versus what
Like
JP's
1,000,
can
right?
get.
Yes, but JP's counter can also net him nothing. He can still get hit even after it's successful in certain situations. Sometimes all he gets is movement away from the corner and the momentum, which is very good. But he doesn't get a bajillion damage every time it works. There are some instances where it's better. There are some instances where it's worse. I will just say that. John, JP stuff.
Okay, so I had this character at second overall. I have him second again. Called it week
You
one.
guys.
Yeah, and this is with Velociraptor saying it was embarrassing that we had JP that high. So I'm really curious where he's got him right now. This guy won Gamers 8. Getting Kakeru close to $500,000 and winning the biggest prize pool in the FGC to date. So if you listen to DreamKing and I back in the day, and maybe Kakeru did, maybe he didn't, I don't know, but he played JP, he saw he was super strong. He was so strong, I dropped Guile, who's really good in this game as well, to go play JP because he's one of the best characters in the game, and I just knew he was a much better fit for me. This guy is really super strong, and here's the thing, here's the kicker, he's gonna get stronger. We have not even come close. Like, Kakeru's full screen zoning actually left quite a bit to be desired here. Everything else he did was really good, but he did not do a great job of pushing people to full screen. He tended to not like that. He tended to play more about 3/4 mid-screen and stuff, and he was just incredible at that. But anyway, when people patch up all those aspects of the game, I think that there's a chance that this becomes a number one character, but there's one exception here, that in Street Fighter history, it is very rare for a highly technical character to be number one. It has happened maybe with like C Viper back in like Arcade Edition or something, and even then there's a good case that like she was not the number one character. Yeah, Yun was there, or maybe Evil Ryu or whatever, but you know, some people said Viper was number one because of Wolf Crone and Latif and all that kind of stuff and the damage they were doing, right? Viper was really good. So, but even then, it's super rare for this technical of a character, and JP might be the most technical character in the game, to be number one, because it is very hard to juggle everything you have to do with this character compared to the other cast members who have it much easier. In those juggling pins, especially in a game like this, you're stacking the deck against you in some regards when you're dealing with that.
Yeah, I going off of that idea that he's technical, Steven, you mentioned early that it's easy for him to do his stuff. Maybe at the basic levels when you've got people that, you know, you're spiking them and they don't know what to do on wake up, so they try to do something and they get in the spike infinite, like those situations, it feels like, oh, what am I supposed to do? You get past that. I don't think he's easy to do his stuff with. And when people start learning how to just drive rush forward, how to counter a lot of his things, when you have to lab, like when he pops Super 2, in those situations you have to know, okay, I parry the first one, then I jump. If it's in the neutral, then I just jump forward. If it's too close, I have to drive rush, whatever it is. You do have to learn, and he is different than any other character, but putting him under the microscope, and everybody and their mother is coming out with anti-JP video text and looking at him, and deservedly so, because he's doing so well. He is a very difficult character to use consistently, especially when you get into things like when you have a snap from mid-screen and it catches them. One, being ready to catch them. Two, it depends on drive gauge totals on both sides, health bars on both sides, distance from the corner, and what you want to do. You have to make all those decisions in the instant and then execute upon them and juggle appropriately. Those kinds of things are very difficult to do consistently, especially if you're in like a tournament and everything's on the line. I do think he's even more technical than I thought when we first started playing around with him. So I kind of disagree that he's
no,
easy to win with at early levels.
Well, no. Well, what I'm saying is I 100% agree, and I've been saying this since the beginning. I think he's a highly technical character. What I was saying, the distinction I was making is that it's rare to see, or maybe, I don't know if we've ever seen it before, to see a character that technical where the barrier of entry to get started with him isn't that high. So if you jump in with like a Manat, for example, you won't know what to do with that character for a week, maybe 2 weeks before you even start getting an idea of how to move this character around and what's safe, what's not, where you want to be on screen, the angles she needs to hit from, the big combos that she has with V-Trigger 1, all of that stuff. That takes a good while. But with JP, you can jump in and get a lot of the basic stuff and have it be good right up front. And that's very unusual because we don't usually see that. Again, you think of a character like a Dulcim as well, right? Very technical, down the road, probably going to be very good. We saw that in Street Fighter V. He sucked in the beginning, ended up being really, really strong.
I see your point.
Yeah,
and I don't.
It's actually
I don't
the
heavily
same,
disagree.
No, it's the same thing that Velociraptor actually said in the last video we did. Literally, it's the same thing that he said. The JP's initial barrier for entry is very low,
which you can check out right here.
Yes, exactly. There we go. John, where do you got JP? Where do you have?
Okay, so when we were first putting together these updated tier lists, well, let me go back. When we first did this tier list back in week 1, I had JP ranked outside of the top 5. I said somewhere between 6th and 8th. Okay, so that was my initial placement. When we started talking about it and looking and updating our tier lists, I still had him around 5th. I have bumped him into 4th overall.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about that? I want to get your initial reactions. 4th overall.
There's other characters. It depends on the rest of your list, but that's fine. Yes. Like that's 4th in this game is really high.
Is that palatable? Yeah.
Yep.
So and the reason I did that is because, one, yes, Kakaru just won. He did so in I wouldn't say an absolutely dominant fashion. He went into loser's bracket, and we saw him lose at Evo. But we're seeing an all new potential for JP, and with that, I go, okay, sure, he cracks the top 5. Fair enough. But I still think that his abilities are not so much so better than the others. They're different, and it's hard to compare when things are different. And usually that means it either floats to the top or plummets to the bottom. And he's not doing that. And I got to take my hat off to Capcom yet again for making this such a different character work so well. But I don't think he has floated to the top at all. I think 4th place overall, and obviously we'll reveal which characters are ahead of him. I actually think that he's a very good He's a very good example of interesting and well-executed balance.
So you don't think that Steven and I's ranking of 2 is embarrassing anymore?
I think you're wrong, but it's okay. You're allowed to be wrong.
Not embarrassing though. That's good. We've ranked up.
Did I say
bit.
Embarrassing? No. Your number 1 placement was embarrassing, but we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, on. No, we definitely got that. So, but anyway, so what's the next character, John?
I have something I really quickly want to say about JP before we get too far off of him, and that is to the point of, does he need any nerfs? There is one place that I would say nerfs would be worthwhile or worth entertaining, and that is an OD counter, and it is the recovery of throw and the amount of punish you can get from someone trying to throw you. If you OD counter them, he can go into tons of damage into Super 3, into all the way across the screen, and it's guaranteed as long as you can execute. That might be a bit much for going for a throw. That might be a little imbalanced. I'll just say that.
But I thought it was just an EXTP. I thought it was just an EXTP, dude.
Dog, I'm agreeing with you right now.
I know. I just wanted to throw it in there because
I take it
don't
back.
agree with me.
I've seen that, so I'm sorry. I wanted to throw it in there because it was becoming a meme online as well.
It needs 3 orbs that never go away for the rest of the round, just like Manon's.
And just to correct Steven here, like flash kicks do about 14% health, 1400 damage. So they I think he said like 3% or something. It's a lot more than that.
That's bird in the hand, baby.
Sure, hey, that's great, but compared to a move that can stop almost everything, and then that leads to 50+% and better positioning a lot of times. And at worst, if you don't get thrown or something, you still have the pressure, you still have the orbs, you can jump out of the corner if you want to, because The opponent is forced to deal with those orbs.
You also die for doing that move.
You do.
And also,
you die
also, it is not effective in the same way by a lot if it's not in the corner with his back to the corner, because then he backs up and it's only I get out of this pressure and maybe get a little something, but you parry and whatever. In the corner, it becomes much better for him, but that's only in the corner. So I want to point that too. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a very good move, but consider the weights that go on both sides of the scale is what I'm saying.
Lily's level 1 super is like 100 frame startup, and she has no invincibility on ODDPs. So
she's trash.
Give me that counter.
Trash.
Give me that counter mid-screen. And
I agree. Lily could use something like that. Yeah, I'm right there with you, baby.
Anything you're saying there about like, well, in the mid-screen, I mean, it's not as... I don't care, dude. I don't have anything like that.
You're
Give
right.
me that.
She would be better if she had tools. You're right. I agree with you.
Give me that any
but
day,
that
dude.
doesn't take away...
Yeah, I won't even go... We'll go into it when we get to the Lily segment.
Okay, so anyways, Ken. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out that clip from Talking Block. We have an entire discussion coming up where we rank every single character, depending on when you're watching this. It's not quite out yet. And also depending on whether or not I just got fired because ticked DreamKing off a little bit too much. But that will be right here when it's ready. And then if you'd like to see something similar, where I think I almost pissed off Catalyst to the point of getting fired as well, you can check out this discussion where we talked about whether or not Drive Rush is overpowered. So plenty for you to choose from. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Probably.